Hey everybody, it's Dr. Sandel. We're here today to talk about breaking the boundaries around mainstream medicine. I've been getting a lot of questions from people about IVs and vitamins in general. One of the biggest mythologies in mainstream medicine is that we don't have nutritional deficiencies. I'm talking particularly about the US. I think everyone has a kind of vague idea that people in other parts of the world might have some nutritional deficiencies, but they really believe that that isn't true for us. And it turns out that's just false. There was a great study done a little while ago over at Stanford that found that 98% or so of Americans have micronutrient deficiencies. 98%, basically everybody has some micronutrient deficiency. So you might be asking yourself, well, okay, micronutrients, no big deal. But a lot of this is a type of word warfare. What is important? What is non-important? This sort of stuff got described a long time ago with science that really needs to be updated. We have this idea of macronutrients and micronutrients, and the implication seems to be that the micronutrients are not as important. Well, as it turns out with a lot of things in mainstream medicine, that has to be updated. And that's exactly what we're here to talk about today. When we start thinking about replacing nutrients in the human body, eventually we come across an inability or difficulty with absorbing those. And so that's when we start to get into the question of, when do we do this intravenously? So I'd like to talk about both those things today. So chatting about micronutrients in general, micronutrients is an absolutely massive category. It includes all sorts of different stuff, some of which many people have never ever had tested in their lives. And if you guys have the good fortune of connecting with someone who does integrative medicine or regenerative medicine or precision medicine or functional medicine or any other of the brand names, if you will, for top shelf medicine, experimental medicine, medicine kind of pushing the boundaries of medicine, you guys might have had some of this stuff tested before. And it's absolutely riveting. I can geek out about this stuff. And spoiler alert, I probably will. What we want is we want great health. We want great health for ourselves. We want great health for all of you guys. Everybody wants great health. To do that, we have to understand what creates great health. And a lot of people have this idea that great health comes from their diet and their lifestyle, and they are absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Let me say that unequivocally. Yeah, totally. That's super important. More important than supplements. That's why we call them supplements. They're supplemental to all the good things you're doing. But one of the really odd things that has happened is that the diets that we and our ancestors used to eat that gave us all of the nutrients that we need aren't doing the same thing anymore. We have all of this hybridization. We have this genetic modification. And oftentimes what we are selecting for when we modify, let's say, an apple, in the US particularly, but this is true generally across the globe, we select for calories. Right? This is why you have these ridiculous apples that are like just huge balls of sugar. And you taste it and you're like, it's sweet, but it doesn't have any flavor. It doesn't have that, delicious farmer's market apple. Well, why is that? It's because it doesn't have all of the other micronutrients in it. Minerals, phytonutrients, the list of subcategorizations of micronutrients is really, really long. The bottom line is that we have fallen into this false narrative. Again, specifically, I like to talk about mainstream medicine in the US because that's where I am. That's what I get the most exposure to. And I do think it's fair to say that the US leads a lot of the global culture and how we think about medicine. And so in the US, there was this idea back in the day that calories were the number one need for humans. Now, it's not necessarily wrong, right? If you don't have calories, you're gonna die. So we do have to meet that need. But we've reached this strange point and we haven't gone back and reanalyzed things where now, just look around you, people have an excess of calories and they're not healthy. part of the problem is this exact sort of mentality that macronutrients like calories are the only need in our food. And it's just absolutely irredeemably incorrect. And it's amazing to me the amount of MDs like myself who haven't updated their knowledge on this and don't realize that micronutrient deficiency is absolutely massive in the US. You listening to this right now probably have some micronutrient deficiency. Wouldn't you like to know what it is? Wouldn't you like to improve that? Wouldn't you like to target that and fix that? The reason that's so important is because our body uses all of these micronutrients to solve these super complicated biochemical processes of homeostasis in our body, right? We accidentally get exposed to some toxin, or we have a great workout. All of these things cause irritation to our tissue. And, okay, great, no problem, let's fix it. Do you have the ingredients necessary to fix that problem? Rewind 200 years ago, when we didn't have all of this really odd selection and frankly bad science excluding and disadvantaging micronutrients in our crops, you probably had all those things. Nowadays, you really might not have those things. And so therefore we get into this new layer of complexity. What used to just be natural, hey, let me eat right, let me exercise, let me get good rest, I'm set, right? Yeah, except we find ourselves in odd new times. I hope that piqued your interest. We're going to be talking about a lot of these things on this channel. How do we break down the boundaries of mainstream medicine? Next up, we're going to be talking specifically about intravenous infusions and why that's a premier or excellent fashion for replacing a lot of those micronutrient deficiencies. See you next time.